Okay, it was a big win for us last Saturday. We played a complete game in all three phases. We talked about getting better. Obviously, after the game and watching the tape, I feel like we did that. We got to continue to do that. We're playing a very talented Ole Miss team this week. They got one of the better head coaches in our league. They play extremely well at home. They played Alabama closer than anybody. They beat Georgia by 31 points. So they got the talent. They're a good team, and we went there 2 years ago, went down to the very end. Extremely tough place to play offensively. Their quarterback's one of the more explosive guys in our league. Does a very good job throwing the vertical ball down the field. Does a very good job of making plays outside of the system with his feet. Had a lot of big plays this year, just scrambling around. He's like a running back playing the quarterback position. Defensively, they've got a lot of speed. The Haynes kid, it really starts with him, I think. He's got a great motor. They do a lot of different things. They probably have more pressures than anybody we've seen all year. We're going to have to do a very good job dealing with that. But overall, we're going to have to play well. Our players, they know how talented they are. Obviously, last year they got after us very well. They defended as good as anybody last year. And so anyway, going there, a road game against a very talented team, we've got to play well. Questions?
What's carry-on status to start this week?
We'll know more as we get into practice. The good thing was we didn't have to play him last week. I thought that was very important moving forward, not just this game but the rest of the year. At this point, I would expect him to play. I think he's getting closer to 100%, each day. But after today's practice, I'll be able to confirm.
What's it say about this offense that if one guy goes down in the backfield, you can just plug in anybody back and they're going to have success?
Kind of like I said after the game, one of the big questions this year was our running back. Coming into the season was our running back depth. And I thought it was a really good thing moving forward that we had the guys that we had step up and just do a super job of running the football, protecting the football. And so we have some depth at that position.
What did you see from Cam Martin when he got in there late? Obviously with the big touchdown.
Yeah, he made a very good run. He ran hard too. There was some runs that he was trying to move forward. He's a guy that we talked to our freshmen about. It's after the midway point in the season, we're no longer freshmen, and he really responded like that, as well as a lot of our other freshmen did too. But he's a very talented young man.
Gus, you got Stanton, you had a big day. You had to play well. Carry on coming back. Cam, how do you kind of use all of that?
Yeah, well, that's a good problem to have. Take you back to 2013 when we had that crew of running backs that we had. And so I think you just, Coach Lashley can be a little more creative at times with personnel, but it's good that we got that many running backs or really even explosive players that we have.
What kind of progress have you seen from Chandler Cox from the beginning of the season?
Yeah, Chandler Cox, from last year, of course, he was a true freshman, and that is a real key position in our offense. We asked to do a lot of different things. And he is just playing with a physicality like he's never played with. He's just really getting plays started at the point of attack on the line of scrimmage, doing a lot of different things, even outside the box. That's been good. And of course, lately he's been getting the ball a little more. But he's one of our best football players.
It's been almost a year since Jeremiah Denson's injury. I know you said what season that you were hopeful that he'd be able to come back. Is there any update on him?
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to. But he's an outstanding player. I think give him a few more months, get him to spring, and get him back 100%.
How about Jamel Dean? What's the plan with him going forward?
Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, same thing. It'll be this spring, to get him back in the mix. And those are two outstanding football players that we don't have right now.
There's one issue about an unusual play early in the game. It didn't end up making a difference. Just on the opening kickoff, two of their guys charged right at Richard McBride and really went after him. Do you have an explanation as to what exactly happened there?
Yeah, you'd have to ask their coach.
Did you address it with either Brett or Lee?
No, they people coach their team, we coach our team.
Yes, what have you seen out of Carlton Davis? Because you look just at numbers, but numbers don't tell the whole story for a corner. What have you seen out of him? How much improvement have you seen out of him?
Well, he is he's a very good technician at the line of scrimmage. Does a great job with his hands. He's long-armed. Coach McGriff's done a great job coaching him, and he's got the ability to really lock down a guy and take him away. And you know, he's a freshman last year. It really helped him. You can tell he's a more confident guy this year. And but he's really been playing well.
Kozan's been playing at a higher level this year too,
Yeah.
particularly these last 4 or 5
Yeah.
games. Has it been just a matter of him getting his strength back fully from that injury?
You know, I think so. Anytime you have a back injury like that, it takes a while. And, you know, he really worked hard in the offseason with his strength, getting his strength back. You know, when he first come back, there's a little bit of you got to be cautious because you don't want to re-injure your back. So I think just giving him that full year of getting that confidence back has allowed him to get in the weight room and get his strength back. And he's starting to play at the 2013 level when he was healthy.
Is he the best puller you've had?
What's that?
Is he the best pulling guard you've ever had?
He's pretty good. He's up. Would be ranked up there with the top.
Yes, how impressed have you been with Golson's ability to slide inside and not
Yeah.
only miss a beat, but those guys look like they kind of gelled even a little bit more?
Yeah, I've been very impressed. You know, he's a great communicator. He can ID things very well, and you know, he had that year under his belt. Snaps have been good, and he's done a very good job.
You've had 3 400-yard rushing games. Haven't had that really since 2013. What does it take to get to that point to get the ball rolling downhill for your offense?
You know, I think if you look at those games, we got into our tempo too, and we were able to get our rhythm going and playing a little faster. And you know, but it says a lot about, you know, our offensive line. It says a lot about our running backs. And you know, and any time you run the football downhill, especially the zone type stuff, your quarterback being a little bit of a run threat, and we talked about this coming into the season, our quarterback need to be a little more run threat. And you know, so far Sean's done that. And you know, if you just keep it every now and then, it really changes things. Last year we didn't do that. So I think it's kind of a combination of all those factors.
Do you think it's also showing people that you don't need a Nick Marshall to be able to do that?
Well, I mean, like we've talked about before, whoever our quarterback is, we try to design around his strengths. There's not a whole lot of Nick Marshalls running around out there. You know, he was a special player.
Gus, back to Stanton again. What led to the decision to believe he could play running back? I don't guess he's played as much.
Yeah, you know, he was a quarterback in high school, a running quarterback, and he was very good at running between the tackles. And when Rock Thomas left, you know, we just kind of looked at everything, and he's the one guy that we felt like could do, you know, half the running back, half the wide receiver. And so we kind of started with that, and then we just got to the point where, hey, we need a little more depth at tailback, and he had a great attitude towards it, and he's been working extremely hard the last 3 to 4 weeks doing that. And he got his opportunity the other night, and you know, he runs between the tackles very well. He's got a lot of great instincts, and he's got another gear. So, you know, I think that'll be something that we can utilize the rest of the season.
Coach, with the offense going on like it has in the last few games, do you feel like that's allowed the defense to take more chances? Has there been some more aggressive play calling on that side?
Tell you what, I think our defense has done a good job all year, regardless. I mean, they really kept us in some games, even when we weren't playing very well offensively early. And I think they're just getting more and more confidence. And, you know, as long as we stay healthy in the key positions, I think they got a chance to keep improving. Offensively, you know, that's the goal also.
Gus, can you talk about the wide receiver block?
Yeah.
Run plays, how's that?
Yeah, I mean, that's really one of the things that stood out to me the other night. Our wide receivers blocked better than they have in a long time. I mean, they took great pride in it. And, you know, a lot of those, you know, runs, especially that broke the perimeter, was really good blocking on the outside. And that's something Coach Burns has really been working hard with them on. And they're starting to take great pride in that. And so that was really something that stood out to me.
Coach, when you look at Petway, his size, but he has really good feet, able to bounce and find the hole. Did y'all notice that when he came in, or was that something that he's developed?
Well, you know, take you back to even at Prattville, I thought he had good vision running the football, and he just had got his opportunity this year. And, you know, he's getting more and more comfortable each game. And, you know, once he breaks past that first level, I mean, it's really a challenge, you know, to tackle him one-on-one, at least high. You know, he's usually looking for people.
Well, Ole Miss and Mississippi State were top 10 a couple years ago. Seeing where they're at now, just from your experience, how hard is it to kind of stay on top in college football, especially in the SEC?
In this league, it's real hard. I mean, you know, you're talking about an Ole Miss team that, I mean, they're very talented. They're, you know, I told our guys, I mean, don't let that record deceive you. I mean, they're one of the top groups in our league. And in this league, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, every week anybody can beat anybody, and it's a grind. It's a survival of the fittest, and you can't just be talented. You have to be mentally tough. You got to be mentally disciplined. Your staff, your players, to have a chance to be successful in this league, it takes all that.
Do you remember the first time you either knew of you or met him personally?
You know, I think it was about the time I left Shiloh Christian and went to Springdale High School. It was around 1999, 2000, and you know, I knew of him before then, but we started developing a friendship, you know, right after that.
Can you identify kind of what's really changed since, really since the LSU game, even when the offense started clicking, the defense has obviously had, you know, a bunch of good games.
You know, I think the defense, like I said earlier, I think they played outstanding all year, and it's just a matter of them improving each week and getting used to Coach Steele, him getting used to them. Offensively, you know, if you really look, I mean, I don't know how many guys that actually start at their position last year. It's not very many. And then obviously we settle in our quarterback position. So I just think it's a matter of, you know, getting used to playing together, getting experience. We're still green now. I mean, we're playing some guys out there that they still need some more experience. And I mean, we're still, I mean, we hadn't arrived. I mean, there's a lot of areas we can still improve on, but the youth and the experience and just finding out our identity, you know, even the running backs. I mean, going into the season, you think you have an idea about what a guy will do or not do or what his strength will be, but you really don't know until you actually play people. You know, even Kerryon Johnson and, you know, and Petway and all those guys. So I think there was a learning curve right there early, starting to settle in. We hadn't arrived, and we got to keep working. We got to keep improving, and that's our mindset.
Is there a certain swagger, and I'm not talking about cockiness off the field, but that you saw in 2010, 2013 that you could tell when a team is, I mean, does this team kind of have that swagger when they hit you?
I mean, anytime you play well, you know, you're confident. You got to be confident. You got to be, like I said earlier, you got to be mentally tough, and you got to be confident. But at the same time, you got to understand that you got to keep working, and you got to have the same mentality each week. It doesn't matter what happens. You got to have the same mentality to keep improving, and you can't pat yourself on the back, not in this league.
Gus, is it more or less with Trey Matthews that he's healthy, or is he becoming a little bit more of a complete player?
Yeah, well, Trey Matthews is healthy. I think that has a whole lot to do. I think that's where it starts. He wasn't healthy last year. He's a great competitor. He has some experience, and he's starting to get more experience, more comfortable with the system. And but him being healthy, because he hadn't been healthy until this year.
What did you notice when you were watching film of Sean White this past game? It seemed like there was a couple passes there were ill-advised. One was almost a pick six.
Yeah, he'd like to have that back, there's no doubt. But I think if you look at the whole big picture of the decisions he has made since he's been back as a starter, you know, I think he's really done a super job, you know, but there's a couple other night, and one specifically, obviously, he'd like to have back.
Was he just a little rusty, you think, from the bye week, or what do you attribute that to?
No, I don't think so. I just think sometimes they may give you a little different look than you thought, and you say, well, I made a mistake. I mean, that happens, you know, but he hadn't made too many of them.
I know it's a relatively limited sample of both punt and kickoff returns, but the numbers are down. Now, I know Marcus, one big return could skew that right back to normal, but for kickoff returns, especially when you have the same return guys back, you've been able to pinpoint just what the issue's been, why the number's down.
Well, you remember, I think last week we talked about that's the one area, kickoff return, we felt like we really needed to improve on. We really worked hard on it. And the other night, we didn't get an opportunity. They kicked one out of bounds. But I think we're in a good spot to move forward, to be improved. We've worked real hard on it probably the last 2.5 weeks. We've really focused on it. And so, you know, that's an area that I expect us to improve in.
How important can that be on the road? You know, how important can that be on the road?
What's that?
Flipping the field.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time. Special teams on the road are always huge.
A few weeks ago, we talked about red zone touchdowns, and it was a problem.
Yeah.
And you scored 11 touchdowns in your last 13 times in the red zone now. You talked then about you were going to focus on it.
Yeah.
How much has it changed?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, if you can actually slow down and focus on one area, you have a chance to improve on it. And it was good for us when we talked about it 4 or 5 weeks, whenever it was, that, hey, we got to get better. That was one of the areas that we just weren't getting it done. And it says a lot about our players to able to focus and execute. And the offensive staff, I think, did an outstanding job identifying the things that we felt like that we were good at, that we could do. But like we talked about, I mean, the bottom line about being a good red zone offense, you got to run the football in. And it's hard when they get extra bodies and they know there's a good chance of running. But, you know, I think Rhett's done a good job of mixing up the play calling down there.
Considering the way that the game ended in 2014, you know, when Auburn and Ole Miss, I mean, what kind of an environment are you expecting? I mean,
It's a great environment. I mean, it was extremely loud. I think, you know, that game went down to the very end. I mean, that was two really good teams playing each other, and I think both teams were playing at a high level.
Just do you expect Nick Ruff to be able to come back this week?
We're hoping so. Kind of like Kerryon Johnson, you know, today in practice, and you know, seeing. But you know, we held him out too, so I mean, he didn't have to play. So I think anytime you're able to do that, and to try to get completely healthy instead of just trying to, you know, keep playing.
Gus, you alluded to this Saturday night, but when you have this offensive line combination right now working as well as it is, you know, you kind of alluded to, well, hey, why fool with it? Is that kind of the mentality right now that we like Xavier as a backup option?
Well, I mean, I really, the way I look at it is we got 6 starters. I mean, that's the way I look at it. And obviously we played very well the other night, and but we got 6 guys we feel great about, and that's kind of our approach.
Anything else? All right, Coach. Thank you.